Hello, my name is Heather Gay, and I'm the Director of Construction Management, Civil Serving, and Business Management and Leadership at Dunwoody College of Technology. It is Women in Construction Week, and we are here to celebrate what the amazing women in our construction industries do. So, with that, I'd like to introduce Polly Friendshuh. She is our Dean of Construction Sciences and Business Management. Polly, I'd love to hear you tell a little bit about yourself and your story for how you got here.
Well, it was by accident. In all reality, I was going to school for originally vet tech or veterinary medicine. Sorry. And then I went into engineering. And then I realized how long I'd have to go to school for engineering. And I didn't want to be poor all that time. I was a single mom with 2 kids. So I went into the trades because I could make immediate money and I could make a decent living. The thing I had heard about construction was that women made the same as men.
Mhm.
And so for me, that was very, very positive for me and very important for me. So that was kind of where I started. I went through the apprenticeship like every other electrician out there. And then I worked for the industry for about 16 years. I worked on a variety of projects all through the Twin City area, remodels, brand new construction. You know, I got to be on the top of a tower and look down before the sides were on, and it was just awesome. So, you know, it was a great career. And then I decided to go into teaching, and it was my husband who basically pushed me to try it. And I'm like, I would really suck at teaching. And he said, no, you wouldn't. And so I started, and I found I really, really loved it. And I've been here now for 18 years. I still love going in the classroom. I still love working with the students. I love making a difference. And the best part for me is being a female and showing other women that this is a possible career. To me is just huge. I wish, you know, when I started, I never saw another woman for maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of the one, the token. And to me, I want to see more of us. I want to see a lot of us.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting because I'm a little bit younger than you.
Yeah.
And I have these same recollections of being the only and the
Mhm.
first and the youngest person in the room. So even though we're separated by almost a generation, our experience has still been very similar as it relates to what it felt like to get into the construction industry. And I think for both of us, that's something that we really feel strongly we want to see change. We don't want the students that are coming in now to feel like they're a token, especially our marginalized communities, whether it's our women or our BIPOC students. I think that's really important for us.
Yeah. Well, can you share your journey? 'Cause
Sure.
I talked about mine. Those are yours.
Yeah, so it's very similar too in the sense that construction was not a first choice or even something I thought about as an option for me. Although I started in the construction industry when I was a teenager. Originally, I was going to go to college to be a yearbook advisor. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, you never did. That's funny.
I was sure that was the path I was going to take, was to be a yearbook advisor and then go to become an editor where I would edit books because I love to read. So I was sure that was my job path. And I had saved up for college by working at a plumbing and electrical contractor. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with going to the job sites and getting to drive around the city and see these things. And I still fly into the city and be like, I was part of building that thing.
Oh,
that is so cool.
You and me
right?
both. Right? You and me both.
Yeah.
I drive around Minneapolis and I'm like, I did that building.
Yeah. That's something I had a part of.
Yep.
So I went to school for yearbook and I failed miserably. And I like to tell my students, it's okay to fail because sometimes you fail upwards and things change. And so my story, I think, is more interesting because I screwed up, for lack of a better term. And so I moved back to Nevada. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I had an opportunity to work at a construction company again. And so I went back to work for this construction company. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is amazing. Can I go to school for construction? Is there a thing? And,
yep, I know. Yep.
And this was the 90s. There was not a search engine where you could look to find what you could do. And so one of my coworkers was from Minnesota, and he suggested going to school for construction management in Minnesota. And so I found MSU Mankato for
Mm-hmm.
construction management. There were like 3 that I could find in the whole country. Went to school and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is amazing. I'm so excited. I graduated from MSU Mankato and started working for an international project and cost consulting firm. So I did like these giant projects, like $100 million projects all around the country and the world.
Oh, cool.
It was really cool. And then Hurricane Katrina and Rita happened. And I was sent to go work on hurricane recovery from the construction side. And so I got to assess buildings for school districts, from tiny, tiny parishes in Louisiana to large school systems like Baton Rouge. And so it was something that was really, really interesting. And then with that, like I kept seeing how sustainability was important and I wanted to move into larger conversations because like obviously the hurricane was something that was to me like a climate change issue. And so I focused my career more and more on sustainability, and my employer was supportive of that. And Dunwoody called and said, I heard you're kind of like the thing about sustainability. Do you want to come adjunct for a class? And I remember thinking, I know nothing. I can't teach.
Same thing. Yep.
I was like, I'm a baby. And that night I wrote the whole course. I wrote the whole course in sustainability. I started teaching and I was like, this is where I want to be. This is the job I want to have. I feel like I can influence the future and change the face of our industry by being here at Dunwoody.
Yeah.
And so that's my story.
And it's right. You know, the interesting thing is when you talk sustainability, the main reason I was going into engineering was I wanted to do renewable
of course
energy systems.
Yeah.
That was my passion.
Yeah.
Always. It's always been my passion. So that's kind of funny. I didn't realize that we had that connection.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so interesting because we've been working together now for like 14 or 15 years.
Yeah, I know.
There's still parts to our story. Like I didn't know you were going to engineering first. Like that was part of your thing. So
oh yeah. No, I wanted to be an engineer. My dad wanted me to be an engineer. So he was extraordinarily disappointed that I went and became an electrician.
Which is funny.
Yeah. Well, because we were all white collar. So it was like, oh goodness, you're going there. And I'm like, you know, yeah, I did. And the thing is now like we've talked about with Week, it really brings the you know, this piece in there that, you know, we want to change. We want to change what's happening.
What do you think when you were looking at engineering school made you interested in the side of renewables? Like what was the driver for you?
When I was in high school, believe it or not, I was a senior in high school and we did a biology class and it was environmental biology. And so way back when, because like I said, we're a ways apart. In high school, we had, you know, they were talking about climate change at that point. And to me, it was just fascinating to me of how could we make a clean energy that wouldn't impact our future. And, you know, my future at that time and whatever children I had or whatnot. And so for me, it was always something that very much interested me. I went into originally pre-vet med because it was I loved animals. But when I went back to school, I was probably young 20s. And it's interesting. You said you failed out because so did I. So it's like one of those things.
It's a good story to remind people. Like, I think it's really important to be able to tell our students, like, look at, because I mean, I'm very proud of the role that I have here at Dunwoody. And just because you failed doesn't mean it's the game over. Yeah. I think that's really important for our students to remember that. So,
no, I was not a fabulous student when I first went to college.
So, me neither.
You know, it wasn't until later when it actually mattered that I was actually good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, I think for us having those similar things happening, and the fact that we kind of accidentally fell in, right? Because it wasn't something that was really something we thought about.
Right.
And I think with Week, it really kind of maybe brings it out for others.
Yeah.
That, you know, maybe it can be something.
Yeah. Well, and that's something I think that you and I have been talking about a lot is this idea that we didn't think of construction as a viable career in high school. It was never something that had been brought up to me as a potential skill set. And I remember always being like, I want a job, I want a career that I know is going to make me financially safe. I want to feel like I'm not reliant on anyone else. And when I got into construction, that was one of the first things that I was told as well was, you know, women are, if they're not paid equally, the disparity is very minimum compared to other industries. And so I I think now we're seeing even that gap get shorter and shorter where there's any sort of wage disparity, just the disparity. So on that note, I'm curious, what do you think Dunwoody's doing to make the idea of construction a first choice for young women?
Well, I know we're doing the women in technical careers, which to me is so huge.
Yeah.
When I went into the trade, I started at trade school, and I only went for like a year because, I got brought into the union and went into work. And one of the things that really helped me was there was assistance for me because I was a single mom. I had 2 kids. They were 3 and 5 when I went back to school. So it was insane. I didn't have a car. I took a bus. We were poor. I mean, it was literally, we lived on, Campbell's soup and mac and cheese. And
not Kraft, probably.
Not Kraft.
Okay,
no, it was generic. And it was before the time when they had like, the places where you can get food and such,
Sure,
the
assistance,
food banks and stuff. So it was like, for me, it was like, they had this program that I was able to get into, and they would help me get my books, and they helped me pay for daycare, and they helped me pay for school. And if it had not been for that program, I don't think I would have gone in.
Sure.
And so having that available for women to move into these different career choices and career paths, I mean, it literally, the pay that you get here is enough to support a family. And you don't get that.
Yeah. I think that like women in technical careers, since we've had that program here on campus, one of the things that I'm most proud of about it is that it does create a support system. And as I was a young professional, I found that one of the things I needed more than anything else was, first off, other people who looked like me, because I was still like one of the only women anywhere. And so wherever I would find another person who looked somewhat like me, I would run over to them and be like, hi, I'm introducing myself because I need like another person. And I think with our Women in Technical Careers program, it's done a really great job of creating that network of students and mentors throughout the industry to find each other and kind of create that support. And the way that I've seen it is that as our students graduate from women in technical careers, like I still have relationships with them as alumni. And I think that they as co-students or colleagues also have built that connection with each other. So I think it's one of the things that we've really been able to do to show young women that is a career path, that you don't have to just fall into construction. You can be in high school and be like, oh my gosh, I want to be a project manager and I know it. And
even the Girl Scouts.
When
we do Girl Scout camp, I mean, it is so cool to see those girls managing those projects. And I'm hopeful that they go into this path because I see them and it's like they can do anything. And they're learning they can do anything. And I think with construction, it's super scary for people. They're concerned about what's going to happen on a job site or, all of those things. And it's like, I just really think it's important to have role models for them coming in. Women in technical careers is one pathway in there, hitting them in high school and middle school for Girl Scouts to show them that, hey, I can do this just as good as the boys and I can do it better. And, like we said, we have a certain percentage in our programs. I want to see it grow. I want to see it grow.
I think we've both said that. Like, I'm really proud that in construction management, we're at 20% women, which is something that when I started at Dunwoody, that was not what our number was. I'm not even sure if the college was 20% female at that time.
I don't think it was.
I don't think it was. And so knowing that we have had a role in shifting the needle, like I feel like that young women can come to Dunwoody and say, oh my gosh, the dean is a former electrician. She's a master electrician. Like she's got that's like the best belt that you can get in karate, and here she is inspiring our students and faculty like every day. And so I do think that story about representation mattering is really, really true. And having young women coming into campus and going, I see myself in that person, and so when you're in the classroom, you get to do those things. You get to show students that it is possible to like our gender is not a barrier by any means in the construction
No.
industry. And
isn't.
I think our Girl Scout camp really proves that. Like I've seen those
gosh.
middle schoolers, they're fearless.
They are
it's
fun.
crazy. Like I never expected to have, like the table saw or using our miter saw and just being like, yeah, I want to do this. And they can't even reach the top to get it down, you know?
I had to laugh because they were drilling holes last year. And I mean, they drilled way more holes than we needed, but they were having so much fun with the drill and had no fear of it.
Right.
And it was like, they didn't worry about if they broke it. They didn't worry about anything. They just wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
And I think, putting that out for them to see this, putting it out to say, hey, this is not a barrier. This is something really exciting you can do. I think we can make a difference. And I think we have made a difference.
I do think so. Yeah.
And I think, the fact that we've both gone into the classroom, we've both gone into the education.
Yep.
And I think I'm able to make, and you are as well. And I think that we can make such a big difference from our roles now, as opposed to maybe if we're still in the field, because that still would just be going to work, 7 to 3:30 every day. Whereas now we get to reach a larger audience.
Yeah.
We get to get more involved. And to me, that just, it warms my heart. It just really warms my heart.
Yeah. And I do think, the idea that I want to see our construction industry representative of our community, and it's not there yet. It's just not, whether it's field or office, and that we do have a role in making that happen. And I think we're so well positioned by being in the places we are right now, and the support that events like Women in Construction Week have, and the fact that our industry is supporting this through Women in Technical Careers. Like there's so many things that are happening now that I think is put this concept to the forefront that we are going to be better as an industry if we look like our community. And by us being here and doing those outreach things like Girl Scout Camp or our Pathways to Careers or any of the other summer camps we've done. I mean, name one, like your Girl Power thing that you've done.
Yeah,
or,
Girl Power we've done. We've done Power Partners.
Yeah.
I went over to the Tubman Center and we worked over there, did some volunteer work there. Boulder Options, we've done volunteer work. And it's really just getting ourselves out there, getting in the community, bringing students with us, which is huge. And it gives them so many opportunities to give back. Yeah. And that's one thing I've also told all the grads is, now that you've gone out in the world, make sure you give back, because that's going to be such a huge part of this industry. And it's for you and I think that's really, as you say, it's filling your cup, right?
Yeah, it is.
And so I think as we move forward and we continue to see more and more women, which I hope, and, getting more and more involvement in that, I think it will fill both our cups up. And, the day I retire, I want to say I made a difference in the world. And this is my way of doing that. So... And I'm looking forward to next week. We get to try and close. So
that's true. One of the events next week.
Yeah, the pink, playing with the pink. It's like I'm super stoked about that. So
did you see there was a clothing swap with it too?
Was there?
Yeah. I have some old fire protection gear that I was given that I'm going to bring. I think I'm going to bring to the swap
I
because
should too. I've got some.
It's like I think that's something really brilliant. Is also just that idea that. In addition to just the barriers to entry or the perceived barriers to entry from construction of gender, there are some real challenges, which is how do you find boots that fit? So
long story short, I wore boys' boots for years because they didn't make women's, and boys' Carhartts because they didn't make women's. And it's like, gosh, it's they make them, which is just even that little bit, wearing a pair of gloves that actually
fit your hand.
Was huge when they finally started realizing that there are smaller people in the world that aren't 6 foot tall and,
240 pounds.
240 pounds. Yeah.
Well, that was, I think, one of the best things about Girl Scout camp was when we actually found gloves that fit, because there was a period where we had the girls in like Mickey Mouse Dumbo gloves. And I was like, what are we doing? This is challenging.
Yeah. Try and turn that switch on.
Yeah. You can use a drill safely when you're doing that, So I like This has been such a fun conversation for us to have because it reminds me that like our motivation is very similar.
Yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, both you and I really do want to go to sleep knowing that we've helped do some positive thing in the world. And I think for both of us, that positive thing is showing that we've moved the needle in some way for the construction industry. And I think one of the things we get to celebrate on a really regular basis, which not everyone does, is the graduation of our students.
Yeah.
And seeing those students moving into successful careers. I think in the last, you've been here 18 years.
Oh yeah. Don't even
900
ask
years.
me
Yeah,
how
I know.
many have graduated.
Like there is something that we get to be so proud of in being able to experience that. And I think that is going back to the thing of filling my cup. Like it's looking at that and knowing that I'm seeing something different happening in real time. And we're able to create that, like help influence that move forward.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that was pretty much what, well, so I want to say thank you for spending the time with me to do this. This is such a
thank
pleasure.
you. It's
You're
been
welcome.
fun. We can talk for hours, honestly.
I know. I believe that any 5-minute conversation is going to turn into 45. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. I appreciate spending the time.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
I'm glad I get to be part of your journey now.
Well, me too. So cheers.